Hey there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to do an oil pastel painting, and I'm working on Canson XL dry mixed media paper. And you want the dry mixed media paper. It's got a very pebbly surface to it, and it is wonderful for oil pastels. It's my favorite oil pastel paper, and it is super cheap. I think I paid under $10 for a 40 sheet pad. So it comes in a neutral color, which is what we're using today. Also, it comes in a gray, and I highly recommend it for a budget pastel paper. You can even use soft pastels on it, the chalky feeling kind, but I think this really shines when you're using your oil pastels. This is for dry media only. If you use a solvent on it, it does not like that very well. Or if you use water on it, it will buckle. So just kind of keep that in mind, and I think you'll be really pleased with using this paper. I went ahead and sketched on with a blue oil pastel, kind of a Prussian blue color, and I'm using the Meeden oil pastels, which are pretty affordable. And I do have a 15% off coupon too if you go to their website if you want to check that out. And I was giving them a try for the first time with this piece. And if you'd like a real-time version of this tutorial, you can find it up now in Critique Club along with, I don't know, 176 other tutorials. Lots of good stuff in there, all real-time, live narrated art lessons that can help you get in a good daily practice. It can help you just know your media better. I love to use different media in Critique Club. So yeah, it's lots of different things that you can try. I'm filling in the background here. My kitchen walls are this kind of a Caribbean blue color, and I wanted to get that in there. We also have a Formica countertop with a backsplash, which I'll put in as well. But I like to push my colors. I like to add to my, I don't know, add a little bit of flair to my paintings by making the colors a little bit more bright. This is my secret weapon. It's a Mr. Pen T-square. They're 12 inches long, and you get 3 of them for like $6 on Amazon. I really like having those in like every place I do art, basically, because it's so great to throw that on, check a horizon line, check if your bottle is straight, all of that stuff. It's just so handy for that, and so affordable that if you break one, I haven't broken one. I've had these for about, I don't know, 8 years, and I have not broken a single one. They're just great. There's great length, and works great for the size I tend to work. I decided to use kind of this light Naples yellow color for the countertop rather than white, because if I give it kind of a mid-tone, because if you look at the reference photo, I took this reference photo the other day. I bought this pretty bottle of wine at Trader Joe's. I love the label on it, and I was opening it up while I was cooking dinner the other night, and I thought, ooh, this looks pretty. I'm taking a picture of that. I'm going to paint it. And so it's kind of fun. It's fun to work from your own reference photos, because nobody else is going to have that reference photo. I mean, you guys can use it because you're my students, but you know, you're going to have something that's like different than using a photo you find online from fully Unsplash and whatnot, which I use those a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it is fun to work from your own work. I decided I wanted purple shadows because I thought that would look good with the Naples yellow and also nice with the wine. And yeah, I'm just kind of just playing with my colors quite a bit. I love to play with colors. Oil pastel is a fast medium. This project, gosh, I don't know what the runtime on this, probably a little over an hour. I mean, it was a fast project, and I feel because it's like a drawing medium, you jump right in and you're drawing and you're painting at the same time. It's like you're feeding 2 birds with 1 scone, as they say. You are getting some stuff done. And I really like that. And I'm just using my fingers to blend this, because that's the other thing I like about this sand grain Canson XL paper, is that it's not like a true sanded surface. So it doesn't like make your fingers feel raw if you blend with your fingers. It's more of like a pebbled mat board type finish to it, and it's very easy to blend with your fingers without any issues. I also like to use the silicone nail art tools you can get pretty inexpensively on Amazon to blend my pastels, or you can buy them in the art shop. They're called color shapers. If you buy the art supply ones, they are a lot more expensive though, but they do come in a better variety of sizes, I would say. But you know, the inexpensive nail art tools I find work really well for my needs here. Now I want you to pay attention to the ellipses in this piece. And the ellipses is basically when you've got like something like a glass or a bowl or a bottle, and you can like look into it. If the bottle or glass is below your eye level, it's going to be curvy, and if it's above your eye level, it's going to be curvy. You're going to see that oval. But if it's at your eye level, it's going to be pretty straight. So looking at the reference photo on the side of the screen, if you look at the wine glass, the top of the wine glass is just about at eye level. It's not very open. That ellipse is pretty closed. But if you look at the level where the wine is, you can start to see that oval, that ellipse. If you look at the bottom of the wine glass, which is further below eye level, you see more of a bigger oval because that ellipse has been widened out. So keep that in mind. Anything at eye level is going to be straight across, and if it's up higher or lower, you're going to see the ellipse. So I try not to make things too complicated, because honestly, if you draw what you see, you'll be in good shape. But the thing is, our brains like to get in the way and say, well, we know that's a circle. Well, we know this is that. And our brain will try to bully you and say, no, that's not what you're seeing. We know that's a circle. Draw a circle. You know, you gotta turn off your logical brain, and you gotta trust what your eyes see. And then you'll be all set. But so I also like to explain the mechanics behind perspective and whatnot, so that because your brain's going to want to get in there and bully you and say it's a circle. So if you know the reason why that happens, then it can make it a little easier to trust what you see and not let your brain get in there and mess you up. Too much thinking. You don't want to have too much thinking in your art. You just want to have more doing, less thinking, and you'll be good. And I'm using a black oil pastel to do the wine opener there, the wine bottle opener, and I'm using some gray and some white basically to make the silver areas when I get around to that. I'm filling in this, the bottle label with kind of a light gray. I didn't want to go in with bright white yet because I try to save my bright white for the end. Because for one thing, it can make a lot of mud. White is your most opaque color, so if you get it down too early, all your other colors have to fight to lay down on top of that. And then you end up having to scrape things off and wasting materials and wasting time. If you hold off on your white to the end, it does help. And then you've got the extra value range that you could pull in if things are too dark. Same thing with black. I generally will not use black until the end, with the exception being that that wine bottle opener, because that was black and I didn't want to, I didn't want it to get muddy. I generally will save my black to the end, because then if I can't get my values dark enough using the colors, the chromatic colors, I can always go in with a little bit of black and darken it up. It just kind of gives you that little bit of extra value range if you can't achieve what you need to achieve with the colors you've been using. So a lot of times you don't even need to use it. But I do find that I do use the white. Now here I was just adding little glimmers of white to add the metallic gleam, and I'm adding like a reflection on the countertop and just little sparks of white here and there. I'm still waiting before I put in the big white towards the end. Now, if you do have trouble with any of your white sticking, you can go in with a palette knife and just scrape off the area where you want to put a highlight, and then when you go down and lay down that white highlight after, it will stick. Another thing you can do is you can let your painting set up and firm up, because once you stop rubbing the surface, it's going to firm up and get a little more solid. Then you can go in and lay that white on top. Now, these pastels are very soft, very similar to the softness of a Sennelier pastel. So generally, when I'm doing an oil pastel painting, I'll start with harder pastels like a Pentel or Neo Color. Is it Neo Art? Is that what it's called? Neo Pastel. The Caran d'Ache oil pastels are harder. I'll start with a harder pastel, and then I'll layer up my softer ones. But I wanted to see how it would go just to use these pastels the whole way through, because it is a nice color assortment. It's a set of 144 pastels, I believe, and they come in this little chest with storage drawers, which is really nice. It's really nice. I think this would be a great starter set. I would also get a set of cheap Pentels to go with it, just so you have that lower layer if you want to do more layering than we did here. But it was fine to do this all in one go, honestly. Now, I am using some colored pencils for some details. That's something that I enjoy doing, and I find that the Prismacolor colored pencils work best for this because they are so soft. They just seem to melt into the oil pastels better than some other brands that I've used, and I think it's probably their high wax content that makes them compatible. You should be able to use any colored pencils you want, but if the pencils are too hard, they're just going to scrape away your oil pastel and not leave pigment behind. And also, working on a sanded surface like this helps. A true sanded surface would grab even more pigment. But like I said, I don't find that it's really that necessary. I really like this paper. It's acid free. It's going to do the trick. And because I like pastel matte paper a lot, but it's so expensive that when you can get this paper for, it's, pennies a sheet, you don't have to feel bad about practicing and using it. And I think you have to find that balance with your art materials, that they're not so dear that you are afraid to waste them, because you're not going to become better at something until you use some materials. And I love it when I find a paper like that that's such a bargain. And I'm so glad the price hasn't jacked up too badly on it. Because I mean, when I discovered this paper, it was before the pandemic, I think, and stuff was way cheaper then. And I think I paid about $6 for a 40 sheet pad of 9x12. Now it's probably around 10, but still, I still think that's a great price for 40 sheets of paper. This is an artist bridge I'm using here. This is something I like to bring in when I'm working flat on a desk and I need to keep my hand steady. You can find these on Amazon. I'll try to link everything that I mentioned down below, but I like this one because it's got a firm acrylic ledge you rest your arm on. Sometimes if you get the ones that are all one piece, they can kind of bow. And also this has legs that you can adjust. So these have like these like 3 magnetic legs. You can pop them off so you can have a lower bridge if you want to, which may be more comfortable too if you want to be closer to the surface of your paper. And I don't know, I like it because it's clear and you can see through it when you're filming, but you could definitely make something like this with a board with just a couple like blocks of wood. So, you know, don't feel like you need to buy anything. You can definitely make something like this if you're handy. But for filming, the clear is nice because then you can kind of see under what I'm doing, which is very helpful. Now I wanted to sneak some of that beautiful kind of burgundy red color into the wine bottle. So I just did that with one of the burgundy pastels, and then I'm kind of pulling some of the green back over it so that it looks like the wine is within the bottle. And you have to be kind of clever and creative when you do your shadows on something like that, like a dark green bottle. So you may use like a Prussian blue, like what we sketched with originally, to add some depth and shadow. Black could be a little much, honestly, you know, because you want to keep those rich colors and not have them deadened out. And you can see I'm kind of wiping my white pastel frequently on a rag because it does get clogged up with the colors underneath. And yeah, just kind of brighten things up where you need to. And I think that looks really nice. Sharpen things up with a colored pencil as needed. The black and the white work pretty good because they're pretty soft. And honestly, I would say if you're an oil pastel artist and you don't have any Prismacolors, like a set of 36 would be wonderful because you're probably going to use the more basic colors anyway, just to crisp up an edge. And you can usually get a set like that pretty affordably because it's kind of, you know, it's a pretty common set to get. And, you know, yeah, at this point, I'm just kind of fidgeting and fussing and adding little bits of color here and there. Sometimes I will scribble onto the masking tape and I will lift it up with a silicone tool and I will bring it over to the painting to sharpen up an edge too. Here you can see I'm adding that Prussian blue into the wine and into the bottle to get the a little bit of depth of color. You can also use tones of purple. You know, you're not going to have every color in the world in a set. And so, you know, just kind of go with whatever's closest. Keep your values in mind because that's really going to make more of a difference, like how light or dark something is versus what the color is. Having the right value is always better than having the right color. It's great if you have both, but if you can only pick one or the other, then go for the value. Go for the value rather than a closer color. And yep, just kind of fussing around with the colored pencils and the pastels just to pull in a little bit of extra detail. I wanted kind of an impressionistic look to this, so I wasn't going to be fussy over, having it, realistic, because I know that with oil pastels, it's going to be a little bit smudgy, smooshy looking, and I really wanted to, go with that. And I love that purple shadow. I love that purple shadow. Plus, there's so many purples that you can have fun with figuring them out. Now here I decided I thought the backsplash needed a little bit of definition, so I'm using my T-square just to measure down and level that up, and then I'll just gently stick down a piece of tape and I can color right up to that tape and get myself a nice sharp edge, which works really well for this technique here. I just want to get the top and bottom of the little backsplash here so I can mask it and kind of fill it in a little bit. The tape doesn't really pick up the oil pastel if you just press it down gently on the edges, but it gives you that nice crisp edge. I do this a lot when I'm doing landscapes because, especially if you have a water line and you need that really crisp level edge, masking tape works great. And oil pastels are just generally kind of non-stick. So, if you press your tape down on the borders, you can, it's not going to disturb what you have on your painting, which another neat trick to know. And there you can see using the silicone color shaper there, the nail art tools to spread things out a little bit if I want to smooth it out. There are several companies selling those on Amazon. The ones that I've actually found the best for the Amazon ones are the ones that have little crystals in the handles. They're affordable, and I've never had the tips come out of them. I have had lost the tips on some of the other ones where they just like, you went to clean them, like wipe them off and the tips came out. And they're really hard to put back in if that happens. So I would recommend the ones that have crystals in the handle, just because I haven't had any issue with those. And you know, the packs they're double-ended too, so you don't even need to keep that many around. You could buy a pack and then set half with your travel art kit and half on your desk, and you'd be good to go. That's what I do anyway, because I love to have kits ready to go for all the mediums that I enjoy using, so I can be out the door in a moment's notice. I love taking the tape off. It serves two purposes. It gives us a beautiful border, and it also gives you a pretty it gives you a way to handle it. Now here I have varnished it just with some Liquitex clear varnish. I use 2 coats of it. That's how I protect my oil pastel paintings. You want an acrylic based varnish. I know it sounds weird, but it works. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting.